At this point in her routine, she has just nailed the first part of the routine. She's going for a perfect dismount. Front with a half, spots the mat, and just nails it.
And the score speaks for itself. Now we go to Jill Andrews, who will perform the final vault for UCLA.
If this was one-on-one, Jill would have to match what we just saw. Front perfect landing. You cannot do it better than that.
That should silence the crowd a little.
If I had to pick a vault that I had to stick, it would not be this one. It's so difficult. Perfect pike position and a blind landing, which means you can't see the mat. She nails it.
So UCLA, displaying its championship caliber, fights back with an identical 9-9. While all of this was going on elsewhere, Cal State Fullerton was on the floor.
Fullerton had a few minor deductions here and there and came up with decent scores, averaging just above 9.5.
And Utah, starting on the beam, got a good routine from only Missy Marlowe.
Missy came out with a solid 9.7, but it wasn't enough to elevate them past a 9.44 average due to some earlier shaky routines.
Georgia and Cal State have already completed their 2 events, while the other 4 have yet to begin their second. And we'll be back in just a moment. 2 events, the Lady Bulldogs and Cal State Fullerton will have byes in this, the 3rd rotation, with UCLA on the bars and Alabama on the beam. This is Tanya's service.
Tanya really has an original bar routine. She has a good variety of moves. This mount is a stem to a handstand. Very difficult. Right into a Jaeger front flip. Now watch her work on the low bar. Free hip to handstand, toe on to handstand. Good positions in the handstand, good swing, straight arms, and a double tuck flyaway. Very nice routine.
A strong performance, Kathy, that comes midway through the lineup. And certainly Coach Jerry Tomlinson knows it.
UCLA doesn't really have a weak event, and most importantly, they don't have a weak point in their lineup.
Freshman Gina Basile is looking to boost the Tide's chances on the beam.
Oh, round off layout step out. She missed that second foot. Alabama could not afford that fall. They've had shaky performances up until this point. They really needed some high scores. Double turn done very well. It's a risky move.
Important to keep in mind that only the top 5 scores count.
Right, so they can drop this, but it puts a lot of pressure. Last girl, another balance break there. Obviously preparing for her dismount here. A little too long on the end of the beam. And a full twist with a good landing. That's going to hurt their chances, though.
That disappointing routine could take some of the steam out of Alabama.
Well, the good thing about a team effort is the next girl tries to pick up for that.
Sean McGinnis of UCLA has had an injury-plagued career, but Kathy, she's as healthy as she's ever been.
She's definitely the best she's ever been. I've never seen her in this kind of shape. A reverse head way up over the bar. Nice handstand positions here. It's a good combination. Toe on half over the low bar. She's also maintaining good form, which is important. Double tuck flyway. She let go a little bit early, so it went out too far, and she had to take that hop. Good, steady performance with a nice release move there in the middle.
And a nice score to boot. Tina Rinker. The question here is, can she erase the effect of Basile's fall?
Gainer layout. Ooh, lost her balance there. That's a major deduction. She's really trying to make up for the performance before her and stay on that balance beam. You can see her fighting for every landing. Dismount, a round off full twist, a little shaky on the landing.
Not the cleanest of performances, but she did do her job in eliminating the effect of her teammates' fall earlier. A 9.30, not the highest score, but they didn't have to count a fall. Kim Hamilton Hamilton of UCLA is the final performer on the bars, sort of a cleanup hitter.
Surprisingly, this used to be one of her weaker events, but now the bars are out so much farther, she's got all this room to swing. Nice delta way up above the bar. Watch this. Hop to an eagle grip, to a Jaeger front. She's already done 2 release moves. She swings with such ease. Look at that beautiful Stalder work. You hardly see those anymore. And a front with a half dismount. That's a pretty routine.
And Kathy, up to this point, the UCLA women are just competing extremely well despite the pressure.
Watch this dismount. Perfect form in the air. And the all-important dismount. Stick those landings.
And Kim Hamilton prayerfully giving thanks for a good score of a 9.80. Also in this rotation, Nebraska made up some ground on the vault.
They came on strong, averaging 9.6, which keeps them in the top 3.
However, on the floor, Utah had some problems.
Unfortunately, they had 2 breaks, forcing them to count a fall. They're definitely slipping in the standings at this point.
So we're at the halfway point in this competition. UCLA is in the lead, Georgia is second, and Nebraska is third. And we'll be back with more championship action after this word from your local station. A women's gymnastics championship. We're at the halfway point of this competition. UCLA is out in front, but they'll be sitting out this rotation on a bye. Ready for her floor exercise is Kim Masters of Alabama. And Kathy, she had an awfully tough choice last year of deciding whether to try and make the Olympic team or to go to college, and she decided to go to school.
It was a tough choice, but it's not one she regrets. Here's her first tumbling run, a double tuck, good solid landing, and nice height. Alabama always has really entertaining floor routines. Middle tumbling pass. It's a double twist. Could have been a little higher and a little more solid on the landing. All these are very minor deductions. She's a front through to a full twist. She landed with her feet a little bit apart, which is a slight deduction. Also not the most difficult pass to end with.
Kim Masters' entertaining routine contributes to a strong Crimson Tide showing on the floor. And that 9-7 score is amongst the best we've seen this afternoon in that event. Georgia is at the make or break event in this meet, the balance beam. And as Lucy Weiner prepares to mount, keep in mind that up to this point, they've had no score lower than a 9.5.
This is the event that won it for them 2 years ago. And I have a feeling that they're going to need to do it again to take this championship. Beautiful split jumps there. This is a tough event for Lucy. She tends to get a little too nervous and relaxes and is less aggressive on these landings. Layout, step out, beautiful. Slight little balance break, but it's just a crucial point in her routine. She has beautiful lines. Look at the flexibility and the balance. Difficult jump, a straddle jump, facing out. She's got one more tough move right here. Gainer, layout, step out. She knows she's got it. All she needs is a good dismount here. Cartwheel, layout with the full twist, and she fights for that landing. This is such an important routine for Georgia.
And Lucy Weiner, a member of the 1984 Olympic team who couldn't compete because of injury, delivers in a big way for Georgia under pressure. A 9.70. Now over at the bars, Nebraska is surprisingly having problems.
This has typically been their great event, that they were counting on big scores here. They've had problems up to now, and another miss.
They've done better than expected in the other events, but have done poorly in what has traditionally been their strongest event. Their chances of winning now are very slim. Back over on the beam, Andrea Thomas of Georgia is the final competitor.
Andrea almost always does well on this event. That's why she's in the last spot, the cleanup position. Now watch this move. Uncanny balance on her hands. It's a 1.5 pirouette. Round off double twist dismount with a good landing.
And the 84 Olympian for the Canadian team wraps up an impressive performance for Georgia.
It's always a good feeling to do the job when you're put in that high-pressure position of going last. And look at this, a nice double twist dismount that she fights for the landing.
If anything can secure a victory, it's doing well on the beam. And Georgia has done just that. The Lady Bulldogs lead after 4 rotations. Nebraska has fallen while Alabama has closed the gap. Coming up, UCLA is on the beam, and the pressure is on the top seed.
Stop in Phoenix. We're coming up next.
5th rotation. Alabama and Nebraska will have byes. And a quick recap of the rules. 6 gymnasts compete on each apparatus. Only the top 5 scores count, and the highest total score wins. With 4 out of the 6 rotations completed, UCLA, as expected, is leading, but Kathy, not in nearly as dominating a fashion.
Georgia and Alabama have really put the pressure on UCLA. They had tremendous performances on the balance beam without a fall counting. And UCLA is great on the floor exercise, but they're going to have to first go to balance beam and not count a single break.
All right, the competition is close. 5th rotation is coming up. Let's see what happens. While Sean McGinnis waits for her turn at the beam, teammate Kim Hamilton was having major problems with her routine.
Kim's routine was fine until the dismount. She was doing a very difficult dismount. That handsprung to a double back, she pulls it in too tight and just over-rotates it. And it's normally a very secure dismount for her.
That flub by Kim Hamilton certainly puts the pressure now on Sean.
It's definitely a lot of pressure when you've already had a fall, because you don't want to have to count one in the final score. Had a good routine up to now. This will be her dismount pass. She does 2 back handsprings into a layout, right into a dismount. She missed that second foot way off to the side.
Kathy, could her knee have given her a problem on the dismount?
It didn't cause the problem. It might have stung on the landing. She might have hurt it.
Nevertheless, she is hurting and grabbing that knee that was operated on back in 1986.
She was a little crooked on that last layout step out, little short on rotation, missed the second foot and had nothing to push off of to do the dismount. Really unfortunate. This is going to definitely hurt UCLA's chances.
That miscue and subsequent low score could also take Sean out of the floor exercise.
She's one of their top performers, so that would really, on top of everything, make it much worse.
Speaking of floor, the very fluid Lucy Weiner of Georgia looks to capitalize on UCLA's miscues.
Nice double tuck. It's exactly what you want to see, stuck landings. Now this is where Lucy shines. Beautiful dance. Middle tumbling run is a front pike through to front with a half twist.
As a senior, she would like nothing better than to close out with a strong performance.
She's had a wonderful career in gymnastics, and this meet just tops it off. impressive.